Hello, in this demo, I will walk you through the migration of two BuildConfig workloads to Openshift Builds. First, I will create BuildConfig workloads and run them. Second, I will migrate these files to Openshift Builds. And lastly, I will run the generated builds file. The first BuildConfig example is a Docker strategy. Let's go through the file. It's a BuildConfig kind. It defines git type, which is the source. There's a GitHub URI in the branch context directory. In build config, we can define Docker file, inline Docker file, which replaces the Docker file in this repo. There we can also we have to define a source secret here because our GitHub repo is a private repo. We can also define secrets and config maps in build config, which are available in the builder pod during build process. The strategy type is Docker, which defines uh, a from image from this registry, which is a private registry, and hence we have to give it a pull secret. It defines no cache flag, force pull flag, image optimization policy set to skip layers. We can define environment variables, build args, custom Docker file location, as well as volumes. Similarly, we have a source strategy example here, which defines the strategy as source. Now, in order to run these build configs, we will need to create all these config maps and secret. There are a total of 5 of them. Let's create these in the cluster. We will also need to create image streams because these build configs output the image to image streams. Let's create the files in cluster, and then we can start the build with OC start build command. Let's track the commands here. Now, while we wait for builds to complete, let me introduce migration tool called Crane. Crane is an open source CLI tool typically used for migrating workloads from an old cluster to a new cluster. It uses export, transform, apply methodology, which we can export using which we can export existing workloads, transform these files into new resources, which then can be modified manually before applying to a new cluster. We are extending Crane's functionality to also support migration from an old software, in this case BuildConfig, to a new software, Openshift Builds. Uh, I think the Docker build is complete. While we wait for the other one, let us might try to migrate using the Crane CLI. Now in Crane CLI, we have to give it a namespace. Here the namespace is default. I think that is complete and I can close this terminal. It in the given namespace, the migrating tool will find all the build configs. In our case, it found two build configs. One was the Docker one, second was the source one. And then it will print detailed logs on what was converted successfully and what was not. Here you can see warnings and errors. A warning is a field or a feature which is not supported yet but will be supported soon. And there's an RFE link related to that feature will also be mentioned in the logs. An error is something which a feature which is not supported and we don't plan to support it. For example, inline Docker file is not supported in builder strategy and we are recommending clients to move it into a separate file. Let's look at what is supported. Registry pull secret, uh, environment variables, Docker file path, build args, git source, clone secret. And what is not supported in Docker, the from field is not supported in builder strategy, no cache flag, forceful flag, image optimization policy flags, and these are simple flags we just need to add in our built-in strategies. Volumes are also not supported in build as well as source strategy because in shipwright or OpenShift builds, we have to define volumes in strategy first so that the build files generated can use it. We don't right now have an understanding of which volumes we need to define beforehand, and hence we have created a discussion issue here. Config maps not supported yet, secrets are not supported yet, and pushing to an OpenShift image stream is not yet supported yet, but there are these RFEs and all these features will be supported soon. Now let's see how Crane exactly implemented the export transform apply principle. So it extracted all the build configs from default namespace into this folder. There should be two build configs as we can see there here. And it used the migration logic to create two builds files. As you can see here, we have a Ruby Docker build file and Ruby source file. This is a service account which is required for the Docker strategy. Uh, let's look at the Docker strategy build file. So you can see the kind is build, environment variables are defined, the output, the image streams are converted into uh, the registry link URL. Params, we have defined the Docker file path, build arcs are there, git clone, and so on, and the strategies builder. Now, since the warning said that pushing to OpenShift image streams is not yet supported in Shipwright, we'll need to change this output image to a different registry. Otherwise, our builds will fail. So let me first apply these Shipwright generated builds in the cluster. And then let me change the output image location. I'm changing it to a QA repository, and now let's look at, yeah, it's changed to QA, and since it will also need credentials which are also added here. Now let's create build runs which will be required for us to run these build files. This will create the build run for Docker strategy, and this will create build run for source strategy. Now let's create these build runs in the cluster. These are created. You can see the current status. Yeah, they both are running and they will take about 60 seconds, 60 or 70 seconds to complete. I will end the demo here. Thank you for watching.